thank you for being here. And yeah, it feels like the dream manifested of reciprocity music, and to have the support of Ashley and Conscious Growth and Lost Valley to come back here and to do this like this. It's really means a lot. So thank you all for supporting this vision and this prayer and this opportunity to gather in this way. And just to share too that like we were reflecting a little bit more around like what are we really doing here, and there's a lot of easy ways to like let's build a regenerative future, or like let's talk. And like what kept coming through like at the fire here and at the fire at the grandmother maple was like, let's hold a gathering of presence. And so just offering that into your weekend. Thank you.
Yeah, so with that presence, let's get everyone kind of oriented and grounded and trying to figure out where everything is, because this is 87 acres and it's big and there's a lot of walking. And so the structure of this event, we've been sharing that it's through elemental activism. And we have these elements that support our growth in our life. There's these forces that are universal forces for all beings to live. And so let's start with Earth. Everyone just pause and think about what Earth means to you. So to me, what Earth means is having a responsibility for the land and the resources and the materials, and tending this land that provides us nourishment, and the soil, through the rocks, through the plants and trees. And so the Earth element, we've specifically categorized our workshops that fall under this element to be there at that place. And we found a great location for it, and it's going to be up on this hill over by the lodge. So that's where the Earth workshops will be, and they're all categorized with beautiful altars. And then we're going to move over here to Fire. Fire is down over by the saunas and our burn pile. And what fire represents is our creativity and our power and our embodiment. So let's pause and just think about what power means. And fire. And then we're going to come and loop all the way around here, and we're going to kind of come over to water. And water is over here by these oak trees and this sacred yurt. And for this event, what water means is healing and emotions. And so workshops that are categorized by those are going to be over here in water. And we specifically have our grief ritual happening over here tomorrow, and some of our song circles, and just these workshops that are themed around healing and emotions. So let's think about what water means. Cleansing, breaking through dams, really clearing and healing it out. And then we're going to loop all the way back around to air. And air is up by this main entrance over here. They're going to be in the classrooms. And so you'll go over there and you'll see these buildings and a parking lot. And what air means for this event is communication and social dynamics and conflict resolution and topics that are kind of more mental. And how do we work together in those dynamics? And so that's going to be indoors, and we'll have a projector screen and a whiteboard and some pillows. So just thinking about what air means, and communication and mental articulation. And then we're going to come all the way back here in the center where spirit is. Spirit is in the center of this entire event. Spirit is where we're having our connection and our reflections and our music and our dancing and our vendors and our food and our water and some of our camping. The spirit is where we all come together. We're going to start the day in spirit, and we're going to end the day in spirit. let's just think about what spirit means and how spirit kind of connects all of these elements that support life. And if anyone gets lost or doesn't know what's happening or needs to find their way, we do have this dome right here. This is our info dome. So you come into the dome, you can see the 3 organizations. We have tables there with some information about who we are. And then we also have the schedules there. We have some poster size versions of the schedules. We have poster of the map, and we have printouts of all of the workshops and the facilitators and their bios and their descriptions. So if you need to figure out what you want to do, go to that info dome and kind of just maybe track which elements you're drawn to throughout the weekend. Like maybe you're just feeling called to stay in spirit all weekend. You really need that. Or maybe you need to go to the water element and let go of some grief. Maybe you feel some blockages and some dams in you and need to let something out. Maybe you need to go talk about how to work together over an air. Maybe you need to go dance and let out some heat and fire. Or maybe you need to go up to earth and just really ground. But maybe track which elements you're feeling drawn to. And then also just kind of going over some more logistics of our basic human needs. So here we have our water stations. We've got a really nice water over here that was created by Izzy Shenandoah. And that's double, triple filtered, activated. And also over there we have our outdoor community cafe that's being led by Nava. Can we just give our cafe one little round of applause? It's a lot of work to feed 400 to 500 people, and that's our expected attendance this weekend. Once you pass 200, it's hard to do those big community meals. So the cafe will be open. Just thank you for your patience with that. They're getting it up and running, and they'll have some meals for sale. And then also we have our pizza vendor over here and our herbal elixirs and our chocolate booth. So this zone is where you can nourish yourself with food. And then on Saturday night, we are going to be serving a community dinner for everyone that is provided from us, from the land, from Lost Valley. So we will be all sharing a community dinner and having a Lost Valley panel. The community dinner will be down here right by the cafe. Yeah. And then composting toilets. Is Paul in the crowd? Can you raise your hand? Yeah, Paul. Paul, we can give you 2 minutes talk about composting toilets. All right.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paul Lynn. This announcement is only for those of you who poop. So for the rest of you, you can continue photosynthesizing or whatever it is that you do. For everyone else, there are toilets around the land, hopefully conveniently located near you. There are 2 back there at the back of the meadow. There are 2 at the main parking area. There are some very beautiful, well-appointed toilets down here. This is kind of the main zone. And then there's another one over by the yurt over here and some down by the sauna. So take a moment to familiarize yourself. The canvas-walled toilets are urine diverting toilets, which is a very beautiful system, but it is a little bit more complicated because there's a urine trough that can fill in with like toilet paper and sawdust. So please try to avoid doing that so that it can function most effectively, and also feel free to empower yourself to help facilitate this for everyone by just cleaning that out if you see it getting clogged. I will be doing my best to kind of help manage all of that, including the garbage and some of the compost. There are garbages and compost bins placed around the land as well. Also worth saying, there is a ADA accessible toilet here with some grab bars and stuff if accessibility is a concern. And there are also some bathrooms on the land, and my understanding is that the preference is that we avoid overburdening our septic system here on the land, which then has to go into a municipal wastewater treatment system and gets dumped in the river. And instead, we're going to be nourishing the land with our beautiful contributions here, which is a great way of carrying forward some of the ideas that we're all going to be sharing and creating in this space. So to that end, we had a couple of last minute bails on the poop crew. This is the organization that handles all of the waste at this gathering. It's a very beautiful job. It's got a lot of perks, not the least of which is that you get to know that you're making a considerable contribution to the closing of the loop of this entire gathering. So we need 2 volunteers who will also be compensated to an extent with some food for helping do a few rounds of the toilets. And that just involves kind of a quick cleaning. It's not a super challenging job. There are gloves. You don't have to come in direct contact. We got 1? We got 2. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Paul. All right. Also, just want to talk about some of our fellow plant friends. We have some guardian oak on the property, and most of it's roped off. You can identify it. There's 3 leaves that are probably turning red. So please be mindful of that guardian oak. She's a fiery spirit, and we want everyone to stay safe. And if you have anything that happens with the guardian oak, there's also some incidents with some yellow jackets and some of our insect friends. And so we have a first aid booth right down here on the end of this vendor row. So if anything happens with first aid needs with plants or insects or tripping hazards or anything, please go find the first aid booth.
And also, if you walked off with the medicine for oak, please return it. And know that that is for sharing. And so if you need that medicine, please use it and leave it there. But there's also other things there that you can take, earplugs, Band-Aids, that sort of thing. But if it's like a big bottle of medicine, please leave it there so that we can make sure everybody has access to it. So we would love for that to be returned. Anybody really needed it last night and took it to their tent? So thank you.
I saw in that pathway.
Great, thank you.
All right, we're gonna get Aislinn up here to talk about our beautiful heart installation back here in the back.
Hi, everyone. I am fortunate to be one of the stewards of an entity and an organization that is Woven. And Woven is comprised of many stewards, some of which are here sitting and also brought this beautiful heart here today. So we want to invite you to experience and participate in little acts of reciprocity through the weekend. We're going to have open hours, and we're going to be there from 5 to 8 tonight and 5 to 8 tomorrow and 9 to 11 on Sunday. This is an elemental mandala that everyone can, just experience, feel, and also contribute to, and also receive from. And it cannot happen without your participation. So please come over, say hi. And I just want to share a little bit about Woven. So Woven, we foster wholeness and interconnectedness through multisensory, creative exploration, human connection, and community support. And we do this through immersive installations, intentional gatherings, and integrated workshops. Come get to know us. We're in Eugene, Springfield area. We'd love to say hi and appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
All right. How many of y'all went on the permaculture tour this morning with Brian? Nice. Cool. Well, we're going to share a little bit more about that. So there's this really special thing that's happening in this meadow, and that this meadow is a camas meadow. Some of y'all know what camas is? So it's this gorgeous, beautiful purple flower. So every spring, this whole meadow blooms these gorgeous purple flowers. And traditionally, it was a primary food source of the indigenous people of the land here. And so, primarily the Kalapuya peoples and different bands of those peoples would travel between different areas and tend to meadows to preserve the camas and preserve it with fire. And so there's this thing that we learned here that, and we're still learning about like the impact of what even doing a gathering of this size is on the meadow. So just traditionally when we gather people here, the meadow comes back, the camas comes back, and it comes back stronger. And so we're just creating that reminder around like how are we treading like in this meadow, like this is food, it's a starchy bowl but like a strong food source here. And so just that reminder that you're walking on sacred food and you're dancing on sacred food, and just remembering that. And so particularly like we've left some of the like the dry version of like the camas, so that back area like in between the meadow camping, we're really encouraging people to just not walk through it, to just create a space that we're not interacting with and just walking around and walking around. So if you can give reminders if you see someone just kind of walking through that, like we're just going to go around and just leave this section here untouched. Speaking of fire, I just want to introduce here our sacred fire and some of our tinders. This fire space here will be going the entire 4 days. And so we have multiple tinders here, and Josiah and Inali are over there coming up from Arcata to help support this space. And yeah, you're just really welcome to come. I know they have cedar, they have tobacco, you can make offerings, you can have a moment with the fire. And yeah, also requesting if there's people who feel inspired to step in and help hold that space. We're welcoming additional support, especially on into the long hours of the night to keep this going. So connect with Inali back there. Maybe you can wave again. Nice. Thank you so much. And I know Josiah's around too.
Okay, thank you for being with all of that. I want to introduce Khalil Cohen, who's here as our spirit stage facilitator. And they will be helping us to make transitions, support our bodies and nervous systems, really bring in that presence of what we're doing and why we're here, reiterating that over and over again. So Khalil's very skilled, really appreciate them. And just want to acknowledge that in a moment, we're going to be transitioning to receiving some of these Kalapuya elders that are here to speak to us, Esther and Shannon Suspin.
Beautiful.
And so in that transition, Khalil will support us in making that and representing some of the intentions that we spoke to earlier. And yeah, just be ready to receive the incredible offering of these elders that are graciously here to share with us. So stay with us, and thank you for being here in the sun. We appreciate you and hope that you have a beautiful afternoon. Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you, Sonia. Hey, y'all. I'm Khalil. So part of my role here is to help us be in that messy middle that we were talking about of like we're trying to build bridges and we don't actually know how to do that. And most of us have grown up in cultures that do not offer us ways to learn reciprocity or how to be in our own integrity or how to be in a diverse group well. And so part of what I'm going to be doing is just helping us to deepen into that through getting more present with ourselves, what we need, and also what we can offer to this space. And so we're just going to do a little bit of that right now, and then it'll just be kind of throughout the time. So the first part of that is really getting present with yourself in this space and how you want to and can show up here. So I'm going to lead just a little internal process for everybody to kind of check in with yourself. So whatever helps you kind of focus inward, feel free to do that. If that's closing your eyes, you're welcome to do that. Anything that helps you just take internal temperature. We're just going to start with taking a breath and feeling the ground underneath you, the way that gravity is supporting you in this moment. Just tracking your breathing for a moment. No need to change it, just noticing. Just taking a little stock of how you're coming in right now in terms of capacity, energy, how your body's doing. I'm personally very hot, you may be as well. Just kind of noticing in this moment where your capacity is to be present and to engage. And one of the ways we can show up well in community is to take care of our needs as we can and to ask for the help that we need. And so just checking with yourself, just for your basic needs like food, water, rest. Right now, in this moment, what do you need, if anything? And over this weekend, oftentimes when we come into spaces like this, those needs get really challenging to meet because there's just so much going on and there's so much stimulation all the time and we're losing track internally. And if we're not taking care of those basic needs, then we aren't actually able to show up in the way that we want to with other people in this space. So this is an invitation to not go to every workshop, to take care of yourself, to get out of the sun, just to do what you need to do to have to maintain your capacity to show up in presence here. So we're just gonna do a little bit of work with our yes, no, and maybe to just feel what it feels like when we are a yes to something, or a no, or a maybe. And later when you're looking at the schedule and figuring out what you're gonna do with your time, just coming back to how does it truly feel in my body? Do I actually want to do that? Do I have capacity for that? Is that aligned right now? So we're just gonna use the metaphor of food. And so thinking about a food that you always love, that's pretty much just a yes. So for me, that's avocado. It's like if I see an avocado, I want that avocado, right? Whatever that food is for you, just feel in your body, like what does that yes look like? Just reminding yourself of that sensation of a full yes. And then calling up to mind a food that you just really do not like and would not eat. And feel the no, that constriction, that pulling back and away. Just feel how it feels in your body when you think about that food. And then think about a food that's a maybe for you, depending on how it's prepared, if it's in season, whatever something is, or you might be like, maybe I'm gonna want this, maybe not. Just think about that food and just see what happens in your body with that maybe. Just as we're here together, it's just an invitation to really attune to the sacred yes and the sacred no and the sacred maybe. And how hard it is to track those things when you're in a space with other people, right? And this work of being able to track internally and be externally focused at the same time is part of the skill that we're lacking in being able to bridge, to be able to truly connect with other people without losing ourselves, and to stay connected to ourselves without losing connection to other people. So I will bring that in throughout the weekend, but it's just an ongoing invitation to that practice for yourself. And then in terms of the other piece of building that bridge is the kind of unfathomable paradox of being who we are, where we are, when we are, with the histories that are on our shoulders. The history of this land, that Satish talked about a little bit, and that we're going to get to hear more from the Kalapuya elders about what it is to be on native land as non-native people, and how we can show up for that in a good way without dissociating from that reality or getting so consumed with that we can't make something new. And so I'm going to offer a little practice right now of how we can work with that, and I will continue to offer throughout the weekend, and again continue to invite you all to this practice in whatever ways feel good. But part of how I orient to that is how can I be in reciprocity if I'm going to be in a place where I'm receiving a lot, where I'm receiving healing, I'm receiving information, I'm receiving connection. How can I also be offering that to this land, to the mycelial network below us, to the elders who are going to come up here, whose people had to be decimated for us to be here having this experience? How can I be with both of those things at the same time? And so just in this moment, just feeling whatever capacity you do have when you checked in earlier. And I think of it as tithing. It's a sacred reciprocity to offer back part of what I receive to the collective. And in this frame, specifically the collective of this land and of the people who have stewarded it for so many generations. And so just conjuring that capacity, I feel it in my solar plexus, but wherever you kind of feel that like energy that you have to give, and just offering a portion of it back to this land. So I'm going to lead us in a little practice of that. So if your feet are touching the ground, kind of imagining your channel going out through your feet. If not, whatever part of you is touching the ground, you can imagine your channel kind of going out through that part of your body. I'm just envisioning the channel of energy that runs down my core and just offering to this land just a tithe, 10%, whatever feels right, whatever you have to offer to the mycelial network below us. The way that all of the ecology here is interconnected and the way that we are part of that. And as we prepare to receive the elders who are coming, I imagine myself watering the roots that grow under them, that are the roots of this place. That has offered so much wisdom of knowing how to maintain these meadows, knowing how to create a healthy ecology with fire as an important part of that we are trying to learn and remember and return to. And how can we feed their root system as they offer us their wisdom? And so throughout the weekend, if you feel really nourished by an offering, you just do a little energy practice, just that visual I mentioned of feeling it come out through your feet or touching the earth with your hands and just offering back some of what you received to this place. And just let yourself be in the paradox of that, the horrors that have occurred here, and the unfathomable tragedy, and the nourishment that we're getting. And can we be here, truly here, by feeling both at the same time?